want to raise the frequency and the vibration of the body. You want to start flooding it with gratitude and joy and fun and pleasure. And oftentimes, when somebody is sick, they have a deficit of that. I mean, and then it's like your reality is reflecting that. Like, I very much was like, oh my God, life is so hard. Everything's so hard. My life is a hardship. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I can't even open the doorknob. I can't lift a pan to the stove. Now, let's really talk about hardship. So, I know what it is like to literally not have a life because you are so sick you can't even walk down the steps, and yet you still need to find ways to bring joy in, because it's like that is going to be part of your bridge to quantum leap into the new reality. When we're talking about limitations, you have to be really careful who you let into your field. People are casting spells. They don't know that they're doing that, but the power of life and death is held in the tongue.
I'm so excited to have you here. You are my third guest, and I'm just like buzzing. And so everything is kind of, we're just going with the flow. And I appreciate you so much for being here with me and for wanting to do this with me. I'm truly so grateful. So, so grateful.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I've been looking forward to it, and it's 8/8, so what a better
I
day.
know, it's perfect. It's amazing. Um, so Janine and I met in an Akashic Records certification, right? That was our first meeting. And then we also ended up taking a Galactic Akashic Records together. And that was so much fun. And that was kind of just us briefly getting to know each other, even in the depths of the Akashic Records. And so as time went on, I'm like, we're following each other on Instagram and we're just messaging back and forth. It's been about almost a year now. Yeah, almost a year. Wow. And I've just seen you flourish on Instagram, I feel like, is the feeling that I get. I love watching your stories. I absolutely love it. Everything you share, I feel like is so informative and it fires me up. I'm like, oh, let me implement these things, And then also a lot of the things are mirroring what's coming up in my client sessions, which is so fascinating. So, if you don't mind, would you just give us a quick, if you can do a quick one, rundown of what it is that you're doing right now?
Yeah, so at the moment, I mostly help people with chronic illness or any symptoms in the body, really. My original focus was autoimmune, but
Mhm.
it's expanded beyond that to just disconnect in the body. And those tend to be my clients. And I do a mix of Akashic mixed with what I would call parts work,
Mhm.
mixed with subconscious reprogramming. And I do a couple modalities. One is Psych K, one is rapid resolution therapy. So, really, whatever is coming up, whatever is needed in the
Yeah.
session. But what I find is that health issues tend to be the tip of the iceberg. Like, it's
Mm.
never just a health issue. There is a consciousness, you know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
and it's pervasive. So it's not
Mhm.
just affecting your health, it's affecting your job, your relationships, your relationship to yourself, your money. It's showing up everywhere because everything is a mirror of you.
Right.
So the work starts as I have this symptom, but then it's like, well,
What's under that?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so fascinating. And so when you say parts work, what is that exactly? I have a feeling, but
So parts work I would describe as there are all these different parts of you that essentially got locked into time.
Mm.
Say that you had a moment where I actually did parts work on myself earlier today.
Okay.
And so the feeling, though, you use the present as the entry to the past. And so what was coming up for me was this feeling of, oh my God, everything is taken away from me, whether it's my job, my money, my relationship, my health, it all gets taken away. And that's the belief I was believing. It
Hmm.
got triggered in the present moment. And I'm like, but where is this coming from? That it literally all gets taken away. So,
Right.
what you would do is, okay, where am I feeling this in my body? Oh, okay. What does this part look like? Is there a color? Is there a shape? Is there an image I'm getting? Okay. What does this part want? What does this part need? And that's typically where that's like the key that goes in and
I
opens.
see.
And I was seeing in this instance 1.5-year-old me, and I felt at that time that I was getting the bare minimum, like
Yeah.
mom went back to work after 6 weeks. Like they had me on a really weird sleep schedule because my dad worked the night shift. So I wasn't allowed to
Mm.
sleep until late at night. And then my dad grew up in the generation where if the baby's crying, you figure it out. I'm going to lock you in the room. And so that for me was like, my standard of love, but I think my soul felt like these are breadcrumbs. And then when I was 1.5, they're like, we're having a baby. And like the messaging around that was, I'm like, my dad, I'm like, I don't know what you were thinking, but whatever. We love our parents. But there was a lot of like, oh, don't be the jealous big sister. You're gonna have to share. You're
Yep.
gonna, and so it felt like, oh my God, anything that was good that I was like holding on to so tightly is now
Yep.
going to be gone, and someone
Yep.
else is gonna get that.
Right.
And so then that awareness is like, oh, okay, so what does this part, this 1.5-year-old part of you, what does she need? And you're pretty much reprogramming yourself in that moment. Like, okay, well,
Wow.
she needs to know that I'm now the parent in charge and I need to step
Right.
in and I need to be like she's seeking closeness.
Right.
I
I
need
can mother this aspect of myself now.
exactly. And then there's this added twist of after that. This is kind of Akashic-esque, but calling back all aspects of you across all time, space, and dimensions that has ever felt like insert blank,
Mm.
whatever part you're working with. And it's just this huge return of energy to your body.
Yeah.
And then you could, people do it differently, but the way I've been doing it, that I learned from one of my coaches is then you do a future projection. Okay, now what do things look like in the future? And it's like you see yourself in the loving
Yes.
relationship or whatever it is for you.
That's so cool. It feels so like a really cool way to bring something that could be so abstract a little more tangible.
Yeah.
Right? It's and because I feel like a lot of the time the symptoms do occur because it's a subconscious thing. It's so abstract you have no clue actually what it is. So to name it as this is the part and then to what is the color, what does it look like, what part of me is this? And then to even okay, let's remediate that and now let's look to the future and see myself doing real things.
Right.
It's so beautiful. I love that.
Right. You had just said a few things. I'm like, my mind is popping off. But yeah, so German New Medicine is a part of my practice, and they would never call it a modality. They are just like, these are the biological laws that
Oh,
the body operates by. And
got
it's
it.
really interesting. I don't want to say created, but it was discovered by this Dr. Hammer. He's no longer with us, but he was a physician, clinical physician, I think back in the 60s. And he was a very smart guy, had a lot of, to my knowledge, like patents and trade, all the
Mhm.
patents, I think is the right one. And he ended up discovering the connection between emotions and disease because his son ended up getting shot by this Italian prince. It was this whole crazy thing. So his son is shot, undergoes like, I'm going to get the number wrong, but let's just say 16 surgeries,
Okay.
ends up dying. So the son dies immediately after Dr. Hammer develops testicular cancer.
Hmm.
So then he starts studying his patients and realizes that everyone with testicular cancer and everyone with ovarian cancer had experienced a significant loss.
Whoa.
So then going beyond that, he could show that they all had in brain scans like a ring in the same location in their brain. And so you can directly map the conflict to the brain.
Oh
So
my
then he
gosh.
started studying people with all conditions, whether it's rheumatoid arthritis, eczema, like herpes, whatever.
Wow.
And whatever your condition is, all of the patients had a ring in a different like for the same condition, same ring,
Right.
location. And there was always a similar conflict theme. And so to me, it's like disease is so subconscious. And
Right.
it's this moment in time where you have a shock, a conflict that occurs. The subconscious stores it. And then beyond that, what can also happen is in that moment, say you are eating a sandwich, as a lot of children do,
Yeah.
or you're drinking a glass of milk, as a lot of children in our age group did. Like there was the whole Got Milk campaign,
Yeah.
like drink milk for strong bones. So it's very common, at least in our time, to be eating a wheat sandwich and a glass of milk. And say you're having that meal and you see mom and dad having a horrible fight, and suddenly your body can trigger what would be called an indigestible morsel conflict. So it's literally like, I cannot digest what is happening right now. I can't digest what is going on.
Right.
So, but the subconscious is super smart because it's like, I want to protect you from this in the
Hmm.
future. So let me track what's in your environment right now. Okay, milk. Okay, gluten. And it gets
Whoa.
stored. So then the next time, say, okay, like parents are no longer in a fight, but the kid then goes to have a glass of milk and suddenly they have diarrhea, stomach ache, all the things.
Right. Oh
They're
my
like,
God.
oh, it's the dairy, but really the dairy is just a track or a trigger for the
Right.
line conflict.
You are blowing. I'm just like, there are tears in my eyes, and I don't even understand why. I just keep getting the chills. This feels like such a, I don't know, man. That's really intense.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes, and it's
I-
it's really intense because it's almost like, oh fuck, but like what isn't what's subconscious? Everything.
yeah, it's everything.
There's everything that mostly everything we do is subconscious, right? I mean, thinking about that fact when you break it down like that, it makes it's so clear and easy to see,
Yeah,
right? But then it's we just go about our days and and maybe horrible things are happening to us daily at a certain point in our time in our lives, but we're so protected by our subconscious, we just
yep,
keep going through them.
yep,
And then now what's going to happen? Do you know what I like it's just so wild. And then it's that whole thing, especially like for our age group, like you were saying, it's like, oh, I'm fine. Oh, I'm
yeah,
fine. It's like, oh,
yeah.
no, but babes,
Yeah, there's a lot
there's
here.
a lot here, right? Oh my God, that's so interesting. And so this is where a lot of the Psych K comes in for you now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I would also say it's interesting because I have, with my own autoimmune journey, gone down so many rabbit holes. And I have done so many diets. I've been so restrictive. I have done the blue light, the
Mhm.
circadian rhythm, the parasite cleanses. Also, like, maybe this was a bit helpful, but EMDR, like it wasn't that I just did physical things, but
Right.
I was like paying people mass amounts of money, leaking a lot of my power in the process. Just tell me what to do, tell me how to fix myself, which
Right.
actually I think was keeping me further in the loop because I couldn't tune in to what was going on underneath.
Mhm.
But I feel like having had that experience, I can see how the holistic space seems appealing. And not to totally write it off because I don't think you ever want to throw anything out entirely. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I can see how people get in a loop with chasing things like mold or parasites or anti-nutrients. And it's like,
Where
oh,
they want to point the finger, like that's it, kind
right.
of thing. Yeah,
And it's a lot easier, kind of, to do that than to go and do the deeper work.
for sure.
So, like, can people get results from like no one, I wouldn't suggest anyone live in mold, but like
Right.
there are, like, if you know it's true that like there's a whole family of people living in mold and like only one of them is sick.
Right.
And holistic
Mm.
people might say, oh, well, she doesn't methylate well, and whatever, her mitochondria, whatever.
Mhm.
But I'm like, I find that to be a pretty disempowering position. And if we are creating our reality, why would I want to paint myself into a corner of thinking that I'm super sensitive, I'm highly allergic,
Right.
I'm everything external is out to get me. Like I'm just a victim to everything outside of me. And I think that unfortunately, a lot of people, including myself, can end up in that space in the holistic realm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because suddenly it's like everything's a pathogen, everything's a toxin, and I'm sensitive. And so shit. You
Yeah.
know what
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean?
Uh-huh.
And I know we're having that conversation before, and it's like, well, it's a lot easier to just be like, oh my God, the mold. But like never addressing, like, oh, by the way, I'm highly anxious throughout the day and I'm having these thoughts that I'm not worthy and, you
Right.
know,
It's like that
depressed.
whole thing of what as above, so below, so within, so without, or what,
Yeah,
everything is literally a mirror for us,
yeah, yeah,
always. And as much as we can point to something external, like, yeah, that is the problem. It's like, okay, you're right. That's part of the problem. Now point your finger back at yourself.
yeah,
Now we figure out what the problem is in here that caused that, that's causing that. And you got to go back and forth, in and out, in and out. And I think definitely, like you said, it's the hardest part because it's scary sometimes, And I think really what it is the idea of it is scary. But what I find too with myself and with clients is like we're hyping it up. We
mm-hmm,
hype it up so much,
yeah,
It's like, I don't want to do that scary thing. It's scary. I don't want to check my email because I'm waiting for an email that I don't want to read. And it's like you read it and you're rushed with blood and you're hot. And then it's like, oh, it wasn't
yeah,
that bad,
yeah,
And obviously that won't always be the case where it's not as bad. But I would venture to say most of the time, it's not going to be as catastrophic as we're hyping it up to be.
right, right.
And, but it's like, of course. And then it goes back to our minds trying to keep us safe. So it's like, oh, we're terrified of this. Well, let's do this, 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 and this. We have so many other things we can do. Like,
Mhm.
let's just distract you.
Exactly. I think it's funny that as you're saying all this, there's a mirror behind you.
I know. I know. I'm like, I need to hang that thing up, but it's been there for years. So I don't know if it'll ever get hung
Yeah, I
up.
feel like it's symbolism right now that
There we
everything
go.
is a mirror. But yeah, and one of my favorite stories from German New Medicine was actually one I heard on a podcast. This guy has an Instagram. I follow him. I don't know him personally, and so I might botch a little bit of the details. But my memory is that he had IBS or Crohn's, like one of those stomach
Mhm.
conditions, and maybe he had cleaned most of it up with German New Medicine, but there was this one thing that he was
Mm.
reacting to severely, and it was cappuccinos. And he could have coffee and he was fine. He could have milk, be fine. He could have sugar and he's fine. But the cappuccino itself would send him running to the bathroom, like very ill.
How
And then
interesting.
once he dove deeper into German New Medicine, what he remembered is that he saw a photo of his ex that she posted on Instagram with her new boyfriend, and they're drinking cappuccinos. So his subconscious is like, I can't digest this, track
What?
the cappuccino into his mind, even though he wasn't drinking it. So
Right.
this is how really the
How
subconscious mind
powerful.
works. Right. So he uncovers that, and I forget how he came to a resolution. I think he was maybe in a new relationship when he realized this. He's like, oh my God, I have a new girlfriend. I don't care. Like,
Right.
I'm over that ex. After that, now he can have cappuccinos. And he was also in a position where he couldn't have gluten. Like, he was the guy. He reminded me
Wow.
a lot of me, like carnivore diet, circadian rhythm, doing all the things. Like his life is getting smaller and smaller. Now his whole thing is
Yeah.
on his Instagram. He's going around eating gluten, like croissants and pizza and like all the
I
things.
love that.
It was
That's
like
so funny.
overnight for him. He saw the conflict, resolved it, could eat gluten the next day. And so that's why I'm like, oh my God, I feel like people spin their wheels so much on like protocols and detoxes.
Yeah.
Yes, you can get relief, but so long as like it's like you're missing the bigger picture. Because if you're
Right.
not getting under like the tip of the iceberg, that will always be there. So you're
Right.
going to have to avoid that gluten, that dairy, that those experiences with
Until,
emotions. Like,
yeah,
and that's the thing, emotions are a huge, they're like the number one tracker trigger for people. So you can remove the gluten, you can remove whatever, all the food, but there's still going to be that emotional pattern. So, like, for example, with rheumatoid arthritis, it's self-devaluation.
hmm,
And so I could be eating the most limited diet. I could be going to bed at 9 p.m. I could be seeing sunrise, and all of that will support my body so long
right,
as I don't feel shitty about it, so long as I don't feel isolated and alone, which I did.
right,
But say I felt great about it. This is my ideal dream lifestyle. Yeah, my body's going to be better primed to deal with a conflict. But then say I get an email from my boss that's like, Janine, what is this? And I'm like, oh my God,
right,
he's criticizing my work. Then I'm suddenly back in the loop of that self-devaluation. And that's ultimately what's going to propel the symptoms. And
right.
so you can only insulate yourself so much.
That's such a great point. And it's exactly what you said. You're making yourself smaller. You're
Yeah,
just shrinking yourself. And it's like, um, oh my gosh, it's so the opposite of what we're all here to do and be, just
exactly.
as souls, as spirits. Like it's so funny. I think I mentioned this to you actually, where I had a client that they didn't feel like they belonged anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't feel like they belonged anywhere. And so they created that in their life where there was no room for them to exist emotionally or really at all. They were absorbing so much news. They were always worried about what other people are doing. They worked they work in the service industry. So it was even there. It's like, okay, what do you need? You. And I don't even exist. It's okay. What else? Just, I'll make it work. What do you need? This type of attitude and energy. And once we talked about it in our session and it came through, her guides, were saying, "Did you realize
Mm.
that this is what's happening?" And I mean, they were just absolutely blown away because it's just one of those things where you can't see it. You're so in it. It's like
Yeah.
you're drowning in the ocean and you have no idea that you're in the water type of thing. And and then it was just as simple as, I mean, quotes, but it was like, don't watch the news for a week and just see what happens. And
Mm.
after that week, they're like, I didn't realize how much news I watched. It's like
Ah, yeah.
even no clue. And then you have more space. Like suddenly they're like, I was able to do things that I've enjoyed. I had a list of YouTube videos I wanted to watch with different drawing techniques, different these and that. And I was able to sit and get through some of them. And it's like, that is the beauty of just having the mirror, really, right? Of just look
Yeah.
here. This is what's happening. Let's make some different choices. And they're so small. I mean, don't
Yeah.
watch the news is such a small choice,
Yeah.
and it's like, but what you're doing sounds different because it's not even necessarily a choice that they're having to make. It's kind of like sitting with, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It can be very, I mean, like you said, very much below the conscious level. But I will say a lot of these health programs tend to have like, I mean, they are patterns at their core,
Mm,
they're patterns, but sometimes they're sometimes they're very specific and nuanced. And it was like this moment in time, okay,
right.
fluke, whatever. But oftentimes you are primed from a young age, or I might even argue past lives, to experience certain conflicts.
Got it.
And
Yeah.
so, for example, if you grew up in a home where you're constantly walking on eggshells, you're being criticized, nothing is ever enough, well, you are primed for the self-devaluation conflict.
Yeah.
You could be primed to have a sinus conflict if you had a lot of things that like stunk, like, oh, this is annoying, I'm fed up. That can be a sign of conflict
Interesting.
that you're programmed to run a lot. There are people who are programmed to run separation conflicts, which is, oh, I want to be close to you, but not in that way, or,
Mm,
like I want you, but I don't, or I do want you, but I can't have you. And that's like skin conditions or separation conflicts. Um,
interesting.
so it's just like your experiences from a young age create that lens through which you're seeing the world, and that essentially primes you to experience certain things. So,
Mhm.
another example, the bladder is very linked with boundaries. And so for me,
Yes.
I've had bladder things like UTIs or interstitial cystitis.
Oh my
And
God.
so what it makes sense, like they're like, oh, if you have rheumatoid arthritis, like you might also experience other conditions like interstitial cystitis. It's like, well, yeah, because like self-evaluation goes
I
hand in
see
hand
it
with,
because they're all linked together.
yeah. It's like if you don't value yourself, you probably don't have boundaries. So, you know what I mean?
Right. That's so true. That's so true. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, autoimmune conditions tend to run together. And I'm like, well, yeah, because the emotional patterns run together.
Right. This is so interesting to me because right now I am studying medical astrology.
Mm.
And a lot of the stuff that you're speaking about, I don't know enough about it to speak on this topic, but everything that you just said, I was listening to this morning, and it was very much like it's in your birth chart too. So it's like the priming, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
you're primed to experience certain things here, and it's literally also all in your birth chart.
Right,
And it just
right.
so happens that some of these planets are they represent something like how do you receive love, right? That would be your Venus. How do you receive love? How do you need to be loved? And if your Venus was in like opposition to, I don't know, a major or another planet like maybe a Saturn, which could have to do with boundaries. If it's in an opposition, it might be an experience like what you're just talking about, too, that push and pull, and then all of a sudden you have skin issues or the bladder stuff or whatever it is connected to those planets. But it's so fascinating because it's like you're talking about this totally thing over here and then this medical astrology, but we're talking about the same exact thing.
100%. It's like
It's
a bit written in the stars, as one would say.
Yes, 100%. It's so cool. And it
Yeah,
also, because it lights me up so much because it's like we have so much at our fingertips. It's all ours,
yeah, yeah.
right? Like you chose to come here at this exact time. It's in your birth chart. All of these things you could potentially experience, right?
Mhm.
And even in past lives, you chose those lives and now you're coming here to choose this life. And it's like, okay, we can tap into all of these things. You're so supported, like infinitely. I feel like I'm just totally rambling and my mind is going a million places at once. But you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so it's like you can't even comprehend it.
yeah. Yeah, and I think to that point, people can feel like what went wrong with me. You know what I mean? And I think that's where I will not write off conventional medicine because it has helped me. And I
Right.
wouldn't want to write off, I've had less success with some of the holistic stuff, but I wouldn't write that off either. My main criticism, though, is I feel like both of those paradigms support this perspective that something went wrong with the body. And it's like either I was, subject to these external toxins and pathogens and heavy metals, and we're being
Right.
attacked and we're being poisoned, or my body isn't detoxing properly. But either way, something went wrong.
Hmm.
For example, with cancer, everything is out of control, cells are dividing and growing, and this and that. Whereas the perspective, which I really appreciate of German New Medicine, is like, no, body is doing exactly what it's meant to do. Body is running
Yes.
an adaptation. And actually, the fifth law of German New Medicine is essentially, it's called the law of quintessence, but it's that every adaptation has a purpose that is serving you. So, for example, I'm going to stick with the joints, but if the joints are being in like the joint program, the self-devaluation program, it's the joints are being rebuilt, like they're being calcified, so that they're reinforced, so that you have a stronger foundation.
Whoa.
So, with a separation conflict, for example, where the skin, it might be eczema or psoriasis, the skin can be getting thinner so that you can be closer to that person or so, and it's desensitizing you. And so there's a purpose behind the
Wow.
bladder. When you're having a UTI, the bladder tissue is getting thinner so that you can fill up with more urine so that you can better mark your territory, mark your boundaries.
Whoa.
So just like a dog or a cat, or let's stick with dog. Dogs go around, they pee on everything. They're
Right.
marking it. And so with boundaries, humans subconsciously do the same thing. So
Wow.
basically it's this idea that no, our body actually is always in a state of healing and repair, and it's
Right.
running the program that's designed exactly for you. This isn't something that you're not being cursed, although that's a whole nother topic, but like, you're not being cursed. This isn't like random. This isn't a mistake. Something didn't go wrong. But
Right.
that also doesn't mean you have to stay in it. Just because, for example, it's like your chart says this, or you had this past life, or you had
Yes.
this childhood. I feel like the mission of any health challenge is to really take your power back and come back into alignment because at the end of the day, anything in the body that's a symptom is kind of showing you, oh, your consciousness stepped off the track a bit here.
Right.
Like,
Right. We need to.
let's bring it back to center. And I'm sure you've heard people say, oh, any dis-ease is just disconnection or misalignment. And to an extent, I believe that's true because there's this conflict. And we know
Right.
that when you really tap into your center, it's just like that can just dissipate.
Right. That's so, I love that so much. It's so true. And it's funny because right before you said the fifth law, I was gonna say there's this guy that I just found on Instagram and I forget what it's called, maybe toxin something, toxin free or something, I'm not sure. But his all of his posts are about reframing how you think about what your body is doing. And it's exactly
Yeah.
what you were saying. Your body's never doing anything wrong. Ever, ever,
Mhm.
ever. And
Mhm.
reading these posts, it's like my mind is exploding, right? Because I have three young boys and they're constantly falling and whatever. And I'm always trying to reframe for them, okay, the what you're feeling right now in your body's healing itself, it's generating new skin, it's pushing blood there, whatever, all these things. So they can understand that being in pain isn't necessarily a horrible thing, right? Like
Yeah.
it's okay to have a little bit of discomfort when your body's trying to whatever heal itself. Um, but I felt like I was kind of flailing a little bit because I'm like, I know it's doing something good, but I don't know how to explain this. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
I found this guy's Instagram and I was like, this is so good. And I'm like, I need to just print the things out and put them everywhere. But it's exactly what you're saying because it's that conversation that you're having with your body,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, okay, something is wrong. Why do I feel this way? I don't feel safe in my body. I'm not at home in my body and all these things. And it's like, I saw this on your Instagram, actually. I think you called yourself a body consciousness expert, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
this is exactly that. It's like realizing your body has a consciousness. So when you're interacting with it in any way, shape, or form, it's like as much as it's a part of you, it's also its own thing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
once we die, our body is done. We'll
Yeah.
keep going doing something else. So of course it has something going on of its own accord.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wait, so I loved seeing that you're a body consciousness
Oh,
expert. I'm
yeah.
like, that's so good.
Yeah. No, I loved that was a little rebrand I did recently.
Beautiful.
And I'm still in the midst of rebranding because as we were just talking, I just got certified in Psych K level 2.
Yay, congratulations.
So yeah, Psych K level 2 is where you can actually work on other people, but Psych K level 1 you learn to work on yourself. And so
Mhm.
the past month I've just been like doing Psych K every day. I'm like, when you find a trigger, it's like, wow, what am I really believing in this moment? Okay, what do I want to be true? And then you start anchoring that in. And there's different, I love Psych K. So that's something I'm going to start incorporating. But Psych K is a great tool to go in and it puts you in a whole brain state. So it essentially you get into a certain posture, you muscle test to determine the posture.
Mhm.
And once you get into that posture, it allows your left hemisphere and right hemisphere to communicate. So there's something in the middle called the corpus callosum, and that can serve as either like a bridge or a barrier. And so when you get into the whole brain state, it essentially allows like a bridge. And now the two sides can talk and you can come into coherence. Interesting that my voice is doing this right now, but
I felt I just had to burp a burp a little quietly. I'm like, oh, there's something coming through about this. Oh my God, I love
yeah.
it.
Yeah, they did brain scans on people to see like what your normal, I mean, they know what normal brain scans look like, but they were like, okay, when do people get into the whole brain state?
Hmm.
And the only other time they saw people getting into the whole brain state was like these monks in the mountains who are meditating, all day
Right.
long. They were getting into the whole brain state, but within Psych K, you get into it immediately. And so it just opens up this. So, say you had something, you could use it to program a new belief. Like, I muscle tested myself for, I am safe to receive love. Got a weak response, meaning
Hmm.
that is not in my
Not a
subconscious.
belief. Right.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how much my conscious mind can say to myself, oh, I'm worthy. I could say it in the mirror a million times a day. I could affirm, and maybe eventually it would filter down to my subconscious. But I feel like that's just the long route. And just
Yeah.
because your conscious mind knows it doesn't mean your subconscious mind knows it. So when I tested subconscious said no. So I'm like, okay, is it safe to anchor this in? I got a yes. And so then I proceeded and anchored it in. And the nice thing with Psyche is that once you anchor in the belief, it's not a one-to-one thing. Like it's going to wipe out any other beliefs that were not in congruence with that.
I see. Right. That are like a symptom of that belief.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. And so that's one way to use it. Another, I mean, there's multiple ways, but another way that I really value and appreciate, and I think is huge for people with any health issue, is that
Hmm.
you can be like, okay, I had something really, for me, I had something really shitty happen at my last job. I have so much anger around that, and I was feeling so
Mm.
much betrayal. But I just was like, well, it's in the past. What am I going to do about it now? I'm not going to go say something to them. But you could put yourself in the proper posture, go in, bring up those feelings, and you just feel them melt. And so then you test afterwards, and ideally, like you spend enough time in that position and then it's cleared. And
Hmm.
so it's like you've been carrying around these suitcases
Wow. Yeah.
your whole life and like you just keep collecting more suitcases. And so then you wonder why you're like slower and you have brain fog and you can't remember where you put your keys and you're
Right.
disorganized. And it's like this is an opportunity to start unloading that. And with
Yeah.
autoimmune chronic illness especially, it is just so much like stuffing down, stuffing down, stuffing down, stuffing down.
Right.
And it comes up like in these moments of triggers, and you're like, whoa, where did that come from? Well,
Right. It's like, well, let's check one of these 16,000 suitcases behind you.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's a whole line.
Oh
So
my
where do you want to
God.
start?
Right, right. So wait, you were diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis at 15 though.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
really young,
yeah,
right? For
yeah.
this.
I mean, so everyone will say like, "Oh my God, that's so young." Like that's not a people won't not believe you, but they're like, "Oh my God, like how, I don't get it." In German new medicine, it's like it doesn't matter what age you are. You can get something at any age if you're running that conflict. However, arthritis is more likely to happen older and like later in life because you do start to slow down to an extent. Maybe your job is suddenly like, oh, we don't want the 60-year-old or 65-year-old or whatever. And so you start to be like, oh my God, say you get arthritis in your hands, but you're somebody who works with your hands, like you're,
Mm-hmm.
so you start to devalue yourself, like, I can't do this job the way I
I
do.
see.
And
Yeah.
then the arthritis shows up in the hands or whatever it is that you're doing. Like the neck is very intellectual. Every single location has their own themes.
Whoa.
The feet are very linked with foundation. So that's why people older in life tend to get it because, I mean, generally as a society, I hate to say
Right.
it, but
Past
we
a
don't,
certain age, we don't care
yeah.
about you.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like we value those people less. We want you
Hmm.
like, oh, let's get you out of the job and you are slower. You're slowing down. So maybe if you're a welder, you're not welding
Right.
50 items a day. Now maybe it's 30, but then you're going to feel a type of way about that. So in German New Medicine, it's like you can get anything at any age, which really resonated with me because
Yeah.
I got it 15 and I was otherwise perfectly fine before that. And then also another thing I had was shingles. And I remember like
What?
yeah, I had shingles. I like literally I didn't sleep for like 48 hours because the pain was so bad. And I remember my mom being like, oh, there's no way you have shingles. Like Janine, you're 26 years old. I'm like, I don't know if I came to this earth as an 80-year-old,
Right.
but I'm telling you, I have
Yeah.
the arthritis and I have the shingles. And I went to the doctor. They're like, yup, it's shingles. So it really doesn't matter
Wow.
your age, it matters what you're experiencing or how you're experiencing the things that are happening in your life.
Right. That is insane.
Yeah.
And so now you're on this journey basically to not, I was going to say to prove the doctors wrong, but kind of, but mostly obviously to just come into your body and feel like at home, I'm guessing, right? To feel like
Yeah.
I can just be here and feel content and feel good in my body. And I feel like from what I see, you're doing it. Like that's
Oh, thank you.
right. You're doing
Yeah.
it. It's so inspiring. I'm like, oh my God, I got to get lifting weights now too. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that also, I just love it. But if someone were experiencing something like a self-devaluation conflict, which doesn't just hit the joints, by the way, it's also red blood cells. So,
mm,
I believe it's leukemia is also self-devaluation. It's the bones, the joints, the muscles. So this is like if you had shoulder pain, depend like there's a few nuances. Like it depends if you have shoulder pain versus shoulder twitching, but for the most part, like shoulder pain is going to be self-devaluation. So this isn't just about arthritis. So if somebody is
got
having
it.
self-devaluation, the theme tends to be I can't, I'm not able. So
Mhm.
going and lifting weights where you feel super capable is actually one of the best medicines to reverse that because you're like, oh my God, I just lifted 50 pounds. Holy shit.
That's
And
so true.
so
Wow.
it's like also using these things with clients where it's like, what's going to make them see the world differently or be empowered in a different way? So it's not just doing the brain exercises, but then actually changing your actions
Right.
to prove to mind, like, hello, the reticular activating system. It starts
Yes.
focusing on, oh, actually, I am strong, as opposed to
hmm
all the ways my body's falling apart.
Right. Yes. And that's so beautiful. I just started working with somebody who is has chronic pain. I mean, I wouldn't want to say that because I don't want to label it, right?
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest things that came through the session too was stop saying I'm sick or stop saying I feel weak or all these things. It's like, okay, now we need to completely shift out of this, which as for me is always uncomfortable to tell somebody it's
Yeah.
because the guides are coming in and they're just saying no more, please don't
Yeah.
say this anymore, but it's that idea too of your body has a consciousness, it can hear you, so please stop. Your body's begging you to stop. And then I'm over here like, stop saying that you're sick. Stop saying you're in pain 24 hours a day, even though they are, right?
Yeah.
So it's like recognizing the experience, right? And honoring the experience, but then being like, okay, but are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
ready? Because now
Exactly.
we're about to we're getting on a different path here, right? And it's so much of finding the things like you were saying that empower that person, right? Because lifting weights may not feel exciting for everybody. And it's actually probably not exciting for anybody that hasn't lifted weights before. Actually, I would venture to say it's
Yeah.
something you have to try to figure out if that's your thing or not, exercise wise.
Yeah.
But even something like just what would light you up and be like, if I could do that, it just makes me feel a little
Yeah.
more vibrant.
Yeah.
It goes such a long way with
Yeah.
your body.
100%. I mean, also because you want to raise the frequency and the vibration of the body. You want to start flooding it with gratitude and joy and fun and pleasure. And oftentimes, when somebody is sick, they have a deficit of that. And they're
That's so
used
true.
to, yeah, they're used to a
Oh my
life of
God,
like
that's so true.
hardship and
Yeah.
struggle and everything is
Yeah.
hard. I mean, and then it's like your reality is reflecting that. Like I very much was like, oh my God, life is so hard. Everything's so hard. My life is a hardship. And then all of a sudden it's like, I can't even open the doorknob. I can't lift a pan to the stove. Now let's really talk about hardship, you know?
Whoa, yeah.
So I know what it is like to literally not have a life, because you are so sick, you can't even walk down the steps. And yet you still need to find ways to
Mm,
bring joy in because it's like that is going to be part of your bridge to quantum leap into the new reality. So if you don't start anchoring it in, and I love Joe Dispenza, and also you can't just do Joe Dispenza and then not change anything in your reality. Like you
right.
can't do the meditation on the pillow, get those
Right. That's
feelings.
that dissonance there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the rest of your day, you're identifying all the ways you're disempowered, life is hard, this hurts, this sucks, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
then you're going to stay the same.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like the subconscious reprogramming is a nice layer to help like just bypass the conscious mind
Right.
and get at
Kind of
the
helps you so that you can make those different choices. Right.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And then you were also saying, I think you had said something about like my mission.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I really feel that my mission is becoming more freedom focused, freedom driven.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me how much of healing is the opposite of freedom. It is like rules,
Oh,
regulations
yes.
and outsourcing, like follow this, do this. Disempowerment actually at its finest because it's like, well, you better, in order to heal, you have to listen to this person and you have to give this up and you can't do this.
Right.
And suddenly your life becomes a list of like black and white rules. There is no color, there's no coloring outside the lines,
Whoa, yes.
there's no joy. And then people are like, why am I not moving forward? And
Right.
I feel like that is a huge piece why.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. It's so true. Yeah, seeing it as here's a list. Literally live on this side, don't live on this side, but these are the parameters.
Yeah,
And it's like,
yeah,
okay, now go and flourish. It's like you
yeah.
can't. You literally can't. And it's one of those things too, and this is my mission as well, is freedom, sovereignty. It's like, okay, you we are constantly living from the outside in. Like that is a prime example of living from the outside in, right? It's like, okay, I'm not even going to ask myself. I'm not even going to ask my body because I don't know. My body doesn't know. We have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
This person knows, that person knows. And it's just crazy. Like, and I was even thinking about this. I actually think I made a podcast, said this on another episode, but how even before we're born, like we're born into this idea that we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because then our mothers get pregnant, and then but you don't know how to be pregnant though. Go to your OB every whatever, right? You have no idea how to be pregnant, and you're doing pregnancy wrong actually. Because did you know you're not supposed to gain more than 25 pounds? Why are you taking this prenatal? Da 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 da. And crazy already starts there while you're in the womb.
Yeah.
Then your mother doesn't know how to birth properly, so she
Right.
better come here, right? And then you don't know how to be with a newborn because you've never done it before, or you don't know how to have two kids. You don't know how to have, and then we're just coming into this system of we don't know how to do it, right? And luckily, I think now it's changing so much where people are starting to realize, wait a minute, I actually think I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think I can give birth by myself, or I can raise these children, whatever, just to keep with the example. But it's so fascinating because it's hard to start trusting yourself when everything has primed you
Right.
to that not trust yourself. Why would you even try to if
Right.
everything has told you that there's no reason to do it?
Right. Yeah. It's like you're, oh, why are you were supposed to be born 2 days ago. You're late. You don't even know how to come through the canal. So let's
Like
get
you're
it.
late? Are you kidding me? Now
Yeah.
we're messing with a divine, like perfect system. It's
Let's get a
crazy.
C-section, which,
Yeah.
sometimes that's necessary, but
Not
then
as often as they actually happen.
right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
there's incentives there, but then so you don't know how to mother, get a coach to show you how to mother. Let's listen to everyone on social media
Right.
who's I'm the mom, like I know how to mom, listen to me. So
Yeah.
then I mean, social makes it a lot easier to outsource your power. But even
Yeah.
from it, I mean, going to school, if you went to a normal school, they teach you how to be a compliant worker. Like that is
100%.
literally the goal, and
Hmm.
you take orders and that's it.
Yep.
And so you're never really, and then
And
depend,
when you don't, you're a problem.
you're a problem.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, and if you grew up in the generation like my parents, where it was like better to be seen, not heard. And so there's all this silencing and don't raise
Mm,
your voice, don't question things, just do. Like
right. Because I
just
said so.
comply.
Yep.
And so then you learn to say yes, to stay safe. And
Right.
then
Even though you shut down that no response in your body.
exactly. And
Yeah.
then your yes kept you safe in certain situations at that time, but then later in life, sexual assault, all of these things are huge problems,
Right.
and women have not been taught that it's okay to say no. They've been punished for saying no. And so, and if like I have had like some instances of that, and I
Yeah.
know almost every woman has, and it's like, talk about another reason to disconnect from your body. So often
Hmm.
programs, there's also usually instances of abuse or sexual assault or something that made you literally shoot out of your body. It's like your
Right.
body's here, but you're up here.
Right.
And so long as your consciousness is not anchored in the body, you're having no life force energy to actually engage in those repairs. So
Hmm.
then you're like, why am I not detoxing? Well, there's no one home. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yes. Yes. Whoa, that's a great point. That's so interesting.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
makes so much sense because it's like you're trying to make yourself whole, but there's a huge part of you that's literally not home.
Yeah, like
So
you're like trying to tell yourself in the mirror, I'm whole while you're empty, you
you're
know?
like up there, yeah.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
whole, you're whole.
Yeah, you're like in the corner of the
Yeah. Yeah.
room.
Oh my God, that's so interesting. Yes. I was working with somebody and it was linked to a past life where their most recent past lives were it felt more galactic,
Yeah.
right? Less in a body. So they came here and it's like, what is this thing? What
Mm-hmm.
is this body? And fighting it every second of every day since they were
Yeah.
born.
Yeah.
And now they're a little older and they're just like, why do I feel this way? And
Yeah.
it was literally like, oh, you never fully anchored into your body to begin
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
You haven't even allowed yourself to be here. And I feel like some people may think this is absolutely insane to hear and think about, but it's so energetic, everything that we're experiencing.
Yeah.
I just wish more people would even consider that idea of the fact that maybe you came here and you were kind of thrown into it. Maybe you had a quick birth. Maybe you did get pushed out early or whatever the case may be. It doesn't, really always have to correlate to a birth in that sense.
Yeah.
But like maybe you just weren't so ready to be a human being and now you're experiencing all of these disconnects, but even still it's exactly what you've been saying where it's a subconscious thing where you're just what is the root of it? You're not ready to be here, so there's still somebody you're not fully here, you're out back.
Yeah.
You're out back
100%.
and your body is like flailing. Come, what's going on? I need help. I need
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. And the body's constantly sending off alarm bells, and you're like,
Yeah.
your nervous system's
Yes.
dysregulated.
Yes.
My body's like, pay attention to me. And then the way I see it is like there's these parts of you that are like operating through the nervous system that are like, hey, I'm back here in time.
Crazy. That's so
Yeah.
interesting. So,
Yeah.
okay, are you able to connect to people's bodies, the consciousness of their bodies in your sessions? Do you ever do that?
I do. It just depends on really what's coming up, but I have
Yeah.
before, like doing a body scan, and sometimes it's, you know, not what you think it's going to be. Like maybe they're coming in with a skin condition. It's like, oh, I'm actually seeing your liver, which
Hmm.
to me
Which
makes
makes
sense.
sense, right?
But they are like, "Oh, I thought you were going to work on my skin." And I'm like, "Well, actually, we got to work on the liver." But that's been fun to play around with that. I've had
Yeah.
not even before I even actually started offering sessions, I had a cool experience where I had a case that was sent to me. And it was this little boy, but I didn't get any information other than his age, his location, and first name. Enough for me to just use that. And so I tap in and I'm like, this is early days, but it was, maybe a year ago. And I'm like, okay, I feel like he has stitches on his head. Something happened to his head. I think that he had surgery. And I'm like, the guides were like, we need to pack his brain with ice. And I'm like, okay. And we're wrapping it and
Oh my
packing
God.
it. And we're doing all this stuff with his brain. Then I see his lungs and I'm like, oh, he's afraid of dying. Okay. So I'm helping him to like work through the sphere. So anyway, I close out
Is
this.
that linked?
They are. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
I'll tell you about that. But
Okay. Okay.
so after it, I'm like, man, did I make that up? And so I messaged my instructor and I'm like, I feel like he had some sort of surgery on the top of his head. And we were at, she's like, yeah, he had immediate brain surgery. And I was like, oh my God. So, okay,
Wow.
thank God. Cause, that was really early days, but I'm like, but the thing with the lungs, that's kind of a side point, but in German new medicine, a common lung program is like a death fright conflict.
Interesting.
And so essentially, like you're afraid of dying. Something could
Mm.
happen. So this is where when people get cancer diagnosis and it's like, oh, you have liver cancer. Oh my God, I'm so afraid of dying. Now they have lung cancer. And it's like, oh, it's metastasized, it's spread.
It's
No, you
spread.
have
Oh
another
my God.
conflict that you're afraid
Whoa.
to die. And
Whoa.
yeah, and I know it can spread to other, like, oh, if you had cancer here or something in your ribs and like, oh no, like now I can't do things here and this, and then you have another cancer that spreads because of self-devaluation. And so it's interesting because you don't see as nearly like you do in humans metastases in animals because you can't tell them, hey, you have colon. You know
Right.
what I mean? So they're not
Yes.
taking it in the same way.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Makes
Yeah.
a lot
Isn't
of
that
sense.
wild?
That's insane. So, yes, okay. And now I'm looking at something that I wanted to talk to you about. And this is exactly that, where you were saying that, or prompting your audience to think about where are you arguing for your limitations, which is kind of similar, I would say, to this too, where it's like, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to die, as opposed to, okay, I have cancer. What is this trying to tell me? Where can
Yeah.
I look and what can I unpack? Instead, it's like, I'm afraid of dying from cancer, right? And like we're adding another limitation onto ourselves. And it's
Mhm.
like, this is so delicate to me because I never ever want to diminish somebody that is sick. It's like,
Mhm.
obviously, I get it. You're sick. The testing says everything is wrong. Everything is going awry, right? Like, I
Yeah.
totally understand you don't feel well, all these things. It's just, actually, I think Joe Dispenza says this, and this was like, oh my God, this is a great way to phrase this. And he said, what if the worst thing that happened to you was actually the best thing that ever happened to you?
I love that.
Right? It's like, what if your cancer diagnosis is the best thing that ever happened to you? Because now, okay, I have cancer. I'm about to leave this job. I'm about to go start my business. I'm about to do this, all these things that I never always wanted to do. What do you immediately try to do? You try to get into alignment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then it just, okay, that's incredible. And I feel like that's always what I want to prompt people. It's like, okay, yeah, this is fucked up. It's horrible. There's no denying it. What if?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go to the what if. What if everything is going to be just fine? Let's flip this on its head, okay? We're just going to pull everything out of it, all the emotions out of it. But it's that, let's not fight for these limitations. Let's not fight to keep ourselves in this box.
Yeah.
And that's what the animals aren't doing that.
Right.
That's so
Right. They're not.
it's not moving around. It's just like, okay, I feel a little whatever.
Yeah.
They're showing you the symptoms, and then now it's up to us. I mean, maybe in animals it's different, but
No, animals run the same programs as we do. So
okay, well, there we
it's
go.
the same. But yeah, but with the animal, they're not understanding like, oh, hey, you have liver cancer and you have 3
The
months.
severity.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, think about it too. Have you heard of stories where somebody is diagnosed suddenly with an aggressive cancer, but they feel completely fine? And
Right.
it's like, then you
Yeah.
tell them, and suddenly now they're like, oh my God, I must be sick. I'm so sick. And then they end up getting sick. There's even anecdotes of people being misdiagnosed. Like,
Mm,
you have stage 3 cancer. They end up dying. They end up dying, and it was a misdiagnosis. So that's just how
the
powerful
power of
the
the mind.
mind is. And so this, I know when we're talking about limitations, you have to be really careful
Yeah.
who you let into your field. And when you're speaking from, I mean, we're in the spiritual realm, so let's go there.
Let's do it.
people are casting spells. They don't know that they're doing that, but the power of life and death is held in the tongue. And someone sitting across from you and you're vulnerable, you're open, you're like, what's wrong with me? And they're like, hey, you have this condition and like you're gonna die or you're gonna have this for life. You're gonna be medication forever. This is what
Mhm.
your future looks like. That's a spell. And if you choose to take that in, like we can always choose whether to take the poison pill, but I find it really hard to make that choice when you're in a state of fear and
Yeah,
desperation and panic, and this is the authority sitting across from you. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And if there's already a subconscious belief in your mind, like I had this belief growing up that I was afraid of dying. I was convinced I was going to die. There's some past life stuff, which makes that make sense.
Right.
But like, if I have that fear and I also believe something's wrong with me, and then finally this like condition manifests, and this doctor says
Right.
to me, look, like, there is something seriously wrong with you. You're one of the worst children we've seen with this condition. Like, we
Oh
actually
my
want to
God.
study you. I'm like, see, I knew it. I knew I was a rare breed. I knew there was
Self-fulfilling
yeah, I
prophecy. Yeah.
knew there was something wrong with me. And so it's like multi-layered, like, like arguing for your limitations. And also there's this hidden benefits, which I love shadow work. It's not a place that a lot of clients want to go unless they really want to get better. And I hate to say that because people are
It's
like, oh
so
my God,
true.
I'm sick. How could you possibly say I created this? And it's like, no, you didn't like sit there and say, I want to be sick.
Right.
Nobody does that at
Right.
all. But there's something that you're getting out of it. And the sooner we look at that, the more
Right.
empowered you're going to be. So it's not about blaming yourself. Whatever story you've made up probably came from the age of like 4 anyway.
So
So
true.
like you were a
So funny.
sponge, you know what I mean? Like you weren't
Yeah.
a real human at that time. Like you were, but like your consciousness is in theta and you're just like, oh, I take all of this
Okay.
to be true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sponge.
like it's silly to sit there and be like blaming yourself or feeling like somebody's blaming you. It's more of like, let's get curious.
Hmm.
And to Joe Dispenza's point, could this be actually the best thing that happened to you? And when I look
Right.
back, I'm like, oh, so I was diagnosed when I was 15, but then I had several instances of flare-ups. Like it was about every 5 years. And then it was around 2017, I had this massive flare, and that's when I decided the medication is done. It doesn't
Mm.
work for me. I'm going fully holistic. And that is when things totally tanked in my life. Like things got
I didn't think you were gonna
so
say that.
Oh God, no, things were the worst of the worst. And me being who I am, I'm like, I'm not going to give up. I'm
Right.
going to figure this out. So I stayed off medication for 3.5 years. So I was in a dark night of the soul for 3.5 years. Like again, like
Wow.
couldn't walk down the steps, couldn't put a pan on the stove. It took me like 3 hours to get ready. I was still working. Mind you, then my work started to suffer because I could only sleep like 2 hours a night. I would wake up drenched, like
Oh
I
my
sweating
God.
through my clothes. Like I had night sweats every night. Night sweats, nightmares, could only sleep 2 hours at a time. Got prescribed Adderall just so I could keep my job. Don't ask me why. Like this is a limiting belief on
What?
my part where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to go on disability. I will not be disabled. So I'm going to prove to myself like I can do it.
Whew.
But meanwhile, my work is slipping. Like and then at this point, I start getting kidney stones, kidney infections. I got the shingles, tonsillitis. Like life was
God.
bad. Life was really bad. And so at that time, I'm like, first of all, I'm falling apart.
Right.
Now, my job, where I had stellar reviews for 3 years, like star associate, now they like, it felt like everyone at my work betrayed me. And
Yeah.
so bad reviews, now I'm on probation, now I'm being watched. And no one is like, I won't even go into that. Work sucked,
Yeah,
right?
I get it. Yeah.
Then I had a relationship for 3 years. We got engaged. That blew up. And so it was everything like everything blew up at once. And
Whoa.
so I was just like, what is this?
Yeah.
And now when I look back, I'm like, I hated that job. I hated it so much. That relationship, not good. not a good relationship. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
even me living in Philadelphia, like there was always this part of my soul that was like crying. Like I want to live somewhere where I can wear flip-flops,
Yeah.
be in the sunshine, and I was oddly obsessed with speaking Spanish. So I'm like, I want there to be Spanish speakers.
It's so
And
funny.
so literally my life blew up with this illness. And then I'm telling you, like God, divine intervention brought me down to Florida, new job, new relationship, new everything.
Wow.
But it took that total combustion to get
Great word.
there.
That's what it
Yeah.
sounded like.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it sounded like.
It's really, really intense.
That is insane. And so, okay, so this whole time, were you were like psychic, or you were also tapped in during this whole process too, but when you were kind of combusting at that point, was it kind of shut down because you were so kind of trapped in your body, so to speak, or was it
So
firing away?
the funny thing is I my intuition was totally shut down. At the time
Hmm.
where I was in this relationship that I was just describing, there was no meditating, there was no praying, there was nothing. I didn't even know about that really. And it was after the relationship ended that I desperado go to Barnes and Nobles and I'm like, oh, where's the self-help aisle? And I see all of these like spirit books. And
Hmm.
the one that I picked up was by Gabby Bernstein. I think it was called Spirit Junkie. And then she had like something miracles, but it's based off A Course in Miracles. So I
Hmm.
start reading this and I'm just like, why did he suck so much? And then I'm like, oh my God, it's me. Like I'm creating this.
That's so funny. It's like, oh, let's look at the mirror, babes.
Yeah, I'm like, he's awful. Let's find out why he's so bad. And then it's,
Right. Oh my God.
okay. So that's when it started to open up. And then I'm like, oh my God, what's a spirit guide? And so it was really around 2018
Hmm.
that everything started to open up. But I will say, because I don't know if anyone else has had this experience, but after that, I got into a different relationship, which had a lot of stress involved with it and a lot of distraction. And I
Hmm.
ended up moving in with that person during COVID just because circumstances.
Yeah, right.
And it felt like my channel suddenly just dimmed. It just like I would try
Yeah.
to tap in and it would be like I would hear it was interference essentially. Like I would be like, "Oh, what do I need to know about this relationship?" And it would be like, "Get out, run." And I'm like, "Whoa. Okay, like my guides would never respond that way. Like it would be like, okay,
Right.
well, we need you to look at like, well, do you see this pattern coming up? Do you see this pattern? And so it would be like this very harsh, almost like I gotta say, it felt like demonic voices that were coming through.
It felt really
And
scary, even just what you said. I was like, oh, gave me the shivers.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
also like in this house that's not cleansed. I mean, I really tried myself. Like I had all
Right.
the things, but anyway, I feel like when you get into these situations it's like you're not living in alignment. It's that much harder. Like if you're not living in alignment, it's that much harder to tap into your intuition because
Yeah.
you're self-abandoning. And
Right.
so your intuition's kind of like, well, the fuck, you're not going to listen to me anyway. So,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like I'm over here. You're looking
Yeah.
over there. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. It's like the thing where you're out of your body and
Hmm.
you're just it's just like a big disconnect is
Yeah.
the theme.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the time that I was in the job, in the misaligned relationship, it was coming from a place of like, oh my God, I need this or
Hmm.
else I'm screwed. And so it was a
Yeah.
very like scarcity place and there was no like abundance or ideas of intuition,
Yeah.
very shut down.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting because I feel like sometimes people are in those types of situations. And it's almost like, okay, what is everybody talking about? My intuition should help guide me. I can't
Yeah.
even, right? And it's just understanding too that sometimes, because I feel like what happens too, and maybe this did happen to you, but then your intuition kind of has to switch gears. So then
Yeah.
it has to speak to you in a different way. And actually, maybe that's when it starts to tap in with your body more. And it's like, okay, well, you're not, I can't come through this way and like telepathically more so. So you need some more force behind it. Then it comes through your body. And then that is where that type of friction starts to build, I guess. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. 100%.
that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, I want to see if I have more the last question I have here. I'm like, "Oh, I know you have to leave soon, but I don't know if this is the question to bring up, but I'm going to do it anyway."
Good.
So, okay, I know that you see galactic implants.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that is still happening for you? Because I know our channels change constantly and things are always switching gears, but is that something that you can still spot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a session earlier this week and I'm like, I see the implant and I'm like, what is that? And it's funny because I do see a lot of implants in the heart space and the people that
Hmm.
I work on. And now I'm probably gonna blank on what the actual implant was, but it's always so connected to them specifically and what's going on. And it's just like, oh shit. Okay, well, we have to remove this
Hmm.
because I know we did the subconscious work. And that will work. That
Right.
always works. But at the same time, if you have something in your field, I think people tend to forget that we live in a matrix and we're literally plugged into so many programs. Like there's such a thing called mind control, you know?
Yeah.
Also the fact that going back to the fact that like we're in theta from ages 0 to 7 and we live in a society that is highly controlled and programmed to be a certain way. So
Yeah.
even if you had the best of the best parents, you still have programs, you still have implants, and
Right.
there's still agendas that are operating in your field. And
So sorry, so to
no, go
cut you
ahead.
off, but so for when you're talking about galactic implants, that's what it is. It's an implant to continue running a certain program.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
yeah. And they can be implants to, yeah, exactly what you just said. Keep you looping in a
Got it.
specific pattern or thought, and or like the one I saw earlier this week was very like a cage around the heart. And so
Mm,
it's like they physically couldn't
I
open
have
the heart.
seen that
Yeah.
before. Yes.
And it's like
Interesting.
if you're trying to get into love in a relationship and you have this cage that is forcing you to operate in a cage, it's going to be hard to do that. So I can see it as like it could be around the throat. Like I've seen like corsets around the throat and it's literally like tied on super tight and this person is like I just can't speak about this issue and then you remove the corset and they're like tears are coming and now
Yes. Oh my
there's
God.
energy moving there.
Mm,
So, but I don't think that the implants get there unless there's an open door for it, meaning like there's some wound or trauma that is a
I see.
vibrational match
I
for that
see.
to get implanted. And
Got
so
it.
the more that you clean up the wounds, the less that's going to come in.
Hmm.
And the more that you clean up those implants, the less you're going to loop in the wound. So it kind of goes hand
It's
in
all
hand.
connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so amazing.
Yeah, everyone's like, "What's an implant?" I'm like, "Don't worry about
I
it."
know. I was like, you know what? I obviously think it's fascinating because I feel like so much more galactic stuff is starting to drop
Yeah.
in my sessions, which wasn't always the case, right? It felt like it's very niche or something, it's over here.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to feel the push of where it's like, actually, people are kind of need to understand that we are up on a planet.
Right.
That
Like
we're on a planet just like all these other planets. And so it would be silly to think that we don't have that type of galactic cosmic connection. So yeah, it's time to sprinkle more of it in,
yeah. Yeah.
because it's real, whether they want to take it that it's real or not. It's just like, okay, this is kind of
And that's where it's like you really do call in your soul clients
yeah,
because
that's so true. That's a great point.
like a lot of people on social media aren't they're going to be like,
What are
"What?"
you talking about? Yeah.
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 Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, we've
Except
had a little too much fluoride, but that's okay.
oh God, that's a topic for another day. I swear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a I'm sure we could just go on a tangent about this for sure. Oh my God. Okay. Let me see. Okay. First of all, that was so amazing.
That was so much fun.
I feel I feel like there were so many moments where and even still like tongue-tied almost. I feel like what you're bringing down to us all is so stunning. And
Oh,
I am so grateful for everything that you shared. I'm like, I have to listen to this again and take notes because there was so much in there that is so, it's like, I need to look at this for myself.
yeah.
Where is this belief coming from? Why? And then, okay, where is it? When is it happening?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
like what is going on around me? Is there something specific that is constantly there? And it's actually it's so funny. I made like a free workbook or whatever, and it's like to connect you back to your intuition. And that's one of the things is like a trigger tracker. It's like what is happening? Where is
Yeah,
it? You know? And I'm like, when's the last time I did that for myself?
exactly.
It's like,
Exactly.
what? You know, I'll do it later. I'll
Yeah.
do it later. I
Or
can't do it. I
I'll
don't have time right
remember.
now. Exactly. I'll remember. I never remember. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, print it out, do it yourself. That's my homework. That's my homework for now because listening to you speak, it's insidious. Like
Mhm.
whose life do you want to live?
It's insane. And with the tracker, there's so many ways to go with that too, whether it's symptoms or just shadow work. One thing I've been doing, two things I've been doing. One is the timeline tracker of symptoms. And people, like, even I had
Oh,
this thought of like, oh, this isn't going to show me anything. But having been
right.
diagnosed with interstitial cystitis, which is essentially the symptoms of UTI without bacteria, and it's just ongoing and chronic. I laid out the timeline and it was like, oh, okay, here it is, very clearly, boundaries being crossed every single time
No
that there
way.
is. And there is sprinkled within that timeline. I of course included any like actual UTIs where I went on antibiotics because it's the same symptoms. But
Right?
like, yeah, there were, but the thing is, they take different flavors. So that's where I think
Right.
people kind of get they think there's no connection, but actually, so say a guy crosses your boundary physically,
Hmm.
that's a boundary cross. But then the underlying feeling is I don't know how to set boundaries with myself or with others. So then say you're in a work situation where somebody's asking you to take on more work and you're like, "Oh, I don't want to, but I feel like I have to." It's it's the same flavor.
Right. Right.
And so people think, well, I wasn't with a guy last night, so why do I have a UTI?
Doesn't
But
make
it's like,
sense.
yeah, but it's like, no, it's the emotional theme that's still playing out. So having that tracker to really get specific of like, when was the first time it happened? Okay, and
Yeah.
then what happened after that? And what's the most recent? And then you could start to build on that. And if it's not obvious from that alone, you just use it. It's like, then when you get a symptom, yeah, it sucks, but you're like, okay, I can add it to my thing
Right.
because this is data. And then say you didn't have symptoms. Another thing I've been doing is shadow work before bed. And I'm like, one thing is around worthiness and worthiness
Okay.
being in the sense of where are you saying you're going to do something and you don't do it. And then I've been looking at my day and I'm like,
That's a
oh
hard one.
my God. I'm like, girlfriend over here had a whole list of things she was going to do. And I think I did three of them. And so it's
Right.
like, well, why didn't you do the others? And then you start to look at your excuses and it's like, oh my God, I actually have a fear of taking on more responsibility. But if I didn't go through the exercise, I would keep doing the same
That's,
thing
oh
for the
my
next
God, I'm
48 years.
so glad that you just said that because that's one of mine. I was thinking,
Uh,
I was like, oh, shadow work. How is she? What is this meaning for her? And that, because to me, that I understand that being a shadow. But when I hear shadow work, I'm thinking something dark.
oh,
You
no.
know what I
Yeah. Yeah.
mean? But
Yeah.
okay, but this is just something that is literally like in the shadows. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
what's behind this curtain over here?
Yeah.
And that long list of things to do, but it's like, I'll do this later. Why aren't you doing it? Fear of taking on responsibility. That's such a good one. And I was there, there's a chick, I think I told you about her, Jamie C.
Yeah. Hmm.
She said, I want you to ask yourself a question, and it is, what are you afraid is going to happen if you are that version of yourself that you imagine.
Exactly.
Right? Because it's like, oh, you're afraid of success. People say that to you, and you're like, bullshit. I'm not,
Yeah.
that's dumb. Why would I
Yeah.
be afraid of success, really? And then I was like, I put off doing the exercise. And then finally, I'm like, okay, maybe she's onto something here, right? People are really responding to this. Let me give this another try. And I was shocked, but it was exactly what you just said. It was like the fear that I wouldn't be able to hold it all.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so I build this business and now I'm seeing all these people, or I have a community or whatever it is. And it's like, but I'm one person and I can't do all that and blah, blah. And I had no idea that was back there,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you know? And then
Hmm.
one of my friends was like, yeah, but by that point, you'll have help. Like you're not,
Exactly. You'll have money to hire someone.
right, right. It's like you're gonna be, okay, I don't want to do this part. Hire it out. Or I don't need to take on so many clients now. It's
Yeah.
like there's so much will change, but we are thinking of the future as we are now.
Yeah.
And it's like
Oh.
it's gonna be different, but we haven't gotten there yet mentally. And so
Hmm.
it's so scary.
Yeah.
So we push it away
Yeah.
and
And
then we
if
don't tick off our to-do list.
yeah, yeah, if
But
you
yeah,
and that's like back to your point that if you don't do the reflection work or the
yeah,
awareness work, it's going to stay in the shadows. And there's a reason. I mean, you're always getting a benefit. Like the part of you that is protecting you from taking on too much. The part of you that's protecting you from, oh my God, I think I'm gonna have to give up all my time if I
right.
want to do this.
Yeah,
But so long as you don't look at that, you're going to keep procrastinating. And then 10 years is going to pass, and you're going to be like, oh my God, I never started the business. And now
yeah.
it means something about me because I'm a failure. So, like,
Right. It just
yeah,
compounds. Oh my
yeah,
God, that's so wow. Thank you for that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
really am like, oh my God, I feel some kind of way about that.
yeah.
Wow, that's
Well,
amazing.
we know what we'll both be doing before bed.
100%, 100%. Janine, thank you so much.
Thank you, Renee.
So where can people find you? I'll put it all in the show notes too. And do you have anything coming up that you want to talk about and invite people to or anything like that?
Yeah, so right now I'm on Instagram. That's my main platform, and it's at It's Naturally Neen. You
Love
could
it.
spell it out for them.
Yep.
But yeah, and right now I'm in the planning stages for what's to come. So I encourage people to follow me because I will announce
I love it.
once that's ready.
I'm so excited to see what it is.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
so
me
excited.
too. I'm like, what is it, guys?
It's so funny. I was looking at your stand store the other day though, and I'm like, oh, it just is so, there's so many goodies there.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. It first of all looks beautiful. You're beautiful and everything on there is just like, I want that. I want that. I want that. It's just like a buffet.
Oh,
You want
thank
it
you.
all. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I have some ideas in the background, and now it's been a moment of rebranding
Yeah.
and bringing all of the now that Psych K is part of the mix, bringing that
Yes. I love that. I'm so excited for
in.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing your magic with us. I'm so
Oh,
appreciative.
thank you for having me on. This was so fun.